Billions of dollars wiped out in the largest ever crypto liquidation as Trump's tariffs rattled the markets. We cover all this right now in the Collective Shift Weekly Recap. Actionable insights and a breakdown into the crypto market, all in under 30 minutes. Simon is here this week and will be on an ongoing basis to help us make sense of the market. And yeah, what a week to get things started, Simon.
Yeah, absolutely. If you blink, you might have missed it though, especially for some of the more stronger coins out there. But wow, yeah, we've had some crazy couple of days, and hopefully that the market does recover somewhat for you, because I think a lot of people got freaked out.
Yeah, certainly. Even we'll get into the reasons for that soon. But even before we entered the chaos of last weekend, I know even call it a week or two ago, people were reeling if they had heavy positions in certain meme coins or even the AI space. So they were already feeling beaten up with that whole Chinese AI coming out in recent weeks. And then, yeah, for this to happen as well, there's certainly a very big variety of feelings out there of people who are holding very different positions and portfolio compositions in crypto. So, yeah, we'll get into all of the events that have happened. As I got up my screen here, as Simon said, if you blinked, you would have missed it really, because looking at the screen here, we've got Bitcoin still above 100,000, just hanging in there, up around 5% in the past 24 hours. And we also have ETH just slightly up on the day. But even going over the past 7 days, Bitcoin is around flat, ETH down 10%, similar to XRP, and Solana down about 7 or 8%. So on the surface, doesn't look like things have been too chaotic, but yeah, believe me when I say they have been. So what has been the cause of all this? Really, as you were seeing, the Trump tariff news came out on the weekend. Trump has always been pro tariffs, throughout his life, to be honest, over his career. There's even a clip I saw yesterday of him in the 1980s talking about the benefits of tariffs. But yes, he's been talking about tariffs all his campaign trail last year. People sort of thought, investors thought maybe he wouldn't actually go out and announce just sweeping tariffs from the get-go. But that's certainly what he did over the weekend. So that really shocked investors, rattled the market, and created a ton of uncertainty. So we saw Bitcoin sell off slightly, and all of the altcoins, sell off and bled quite heavily over the weekend. It was something to see. Were you online at the time it was all going down, Simon?
No, thankfully I was not, and it probably was better for my emotions not to be seeing it all happening at once. I did check in, obviously, and see some massive movements in price. And it even affected me. It affected my emotions there to see prices moving that much, that fast. And so, yeah, this is, I guess, a good example of how, you've got to manage emotions and manage your portfolio to withstand this kind of thing. Because I think we've seen in multiple cycles before, 30%, 40%, 50% crashes are normal in the bull market. And I think we've just, had our first real big one, I guess, of 2025.
Yeah, absolutely. It's hard for any new crypto investor to really wrap their head around. But yeah, this turbulence comes with being part of the market. But yes, in the last sort of 12 hours or so, we've had a big correction with, in particular, the sort of tariff recipients, or two of them, Canada and Mexico, sort of, I guess, coming to terms and compromising a bit with the US, in particular Mexico. So for both of them, they've kicked the can down the road with both countries. So the US and Canada agreeing to put things back and delay tariffs becoming effective by 1 month, and a similar result there for Mexico. So yeah, people still speculating, like investors are still a bit concerned whether Trump will come out and impose tariffs, on the EU. We also, may get a breakdown in negotiations between, the likes of Canada and Mexico as well. So of course, the market, and for investors watching very short term, I think it'll be a very headline dependent market. That's just, reality. If you're more longer term, yeah, I would suggest sort of, doing what Simon did, to be honest, and not even really following all this sort of intraday stuff, because yeah, it can get quite time consuming and wear on the emotions. But just to put in context, some of just the chaos that we did see, for those who were, consuming it all, we saw, get this, the largest daily liquidations in, I guess, the history of the market. So call it 15 years, more like 10 years. We had what is estimated to be $8 to $10 billion worth of liquidations by some estimates out there. So again, a lot of leverage traders got absolutely punished, and yeah, lost a lot of money out there. And that just puts it in context where we had events like COVID, we had events like FTX collapsing. Sure, the prices are a lot bigger these days, so putting it in dollar terms can be a bit misleading, but just the chaos of yesterday just led to the most chaotic and heaviest liquidations that the market has ever seen in the crypto space, that is.
Yeah, I'll add to that. Like, it created some of the most craziest charts I've ever seen as well. These huge wicks down and then, recovery all in the same kind of day. Like, it was 20-30% drops and then 20-30% gains straight away. So I think, a lot of traders would have probably missed that bottom because it was happened so quick. But yeah, it's definitely, looking back at it, one of the craziest days in crypto, and we had plenty of crazy days.
Definitely. And we also had ETH, unbelievably finished the day just in the green just about 45 minutes ago, after it crashed down in US dollar terms nearly to $2,000. It crashed on Binance and on Coinbase. It got to around 2,150 or 2,100, 2,200. Most of the day it spent, from when I was watching it, around in the mid 2000s. But yeah, there was a stage there where I think over a 3-day period, ETH actually fell by $1,000 US. We also saw ETH BTC, or the ETH BTC pair, that also hit its lowest point since December 2020. So yeah, that real weakness in ETH, which has been a trend for at least 12 months now, even longer, I guess unsurprisingly has sort of continued even in this sort of dramatic event as we've seen in the past 48 hours. Other news affecting, I said last week about the big news to watch last week, of course, was the Federal Reserve's first meeting for the year and their first interest rate announcement. As expected, it came in steady, and there wasn't really any highlights, to be honest, from Jerome Powell's meeting, or press conference rather. And we've also seen him, we did actually watch him comment in the last question of his press conference was about Bitcoin and crypto, and he actually, somewhat bullishly, he didn't speak ill of it like he normally does, and he actually sort of said, banks, there is a world, and the US, of course, there is a situation where banks in the US can serve crypto businesses, which previously he wouldn't have said so. So the Trump administration, their change of presidency really having effect there. We'll get into a bit of what to look ahead to coming up this week. There's a lot to get excited about with respect to the Trump admin and their relationship with crypto, but that's a wrap for in terms of like the market sort of side of things. Certainly, Simon, I'm wanting to just dig a bit deeper into the short-term outlook and where that leaves us, with all this tariff news going on. Like, how would you recommend the everyday sort of crypto investor goes about just like navigating these rough seas we're in?
That is so hard because we have no idea what this shoot from the hip president is going to do. I mean, he's obviously doing some serious business style, negotiations here. His first initial, strike at Canada was to say, hey, you should just become part of America. And so then he goes, well, we'll put some, hugely big tariffs on you. And then he's rescinded the tariffs because he got Canada coming to the table to do some things for him. So we honestly don't know what he's going to do. It's very hard to try and predict at the moment. His history record from when he was last president was he was good for the economy. So I kind of feel that he's probably got a plan, I would hope. I don't think he's just, going crazy at it. He's probably got a plan. So in general, he has been very good for the economy. It's just a, rocky start. It made people get very scared with the risky assets. And maybe it's actually highlighted to a degree that maybe if your portfolio is really suffering, maybe you shouldn't be in such risky assets at this point in time, because I think the main thing we know is that Trump is going to be very positive for Bitcoin in general. It's going to be positive for the crypto space, but he's certainly not going to be positive for all altcoins out there. And so at the moment, who knows what's going to happen? Who knows who's going to put tariffs on next? Who knows how the market's going to react? I would hope, maybe more than think, that we won't have as big a reaction going forward, because now we're seeing his playbook to a degree. So I think it should be less volatile, but I just don't know. I don't know what he's going to do next. He has tariffs, which seem to obviously affect global markets so drastically and risk on assets so drastically. And then he's got the other things going on for it, like the crypto working group to figure out whether they should create the strategic Bitcoin reserve. And then he just had his recent one over the weekend of the creation of a sovereign wealth fund, which was, creating a US government organization that's going to invest its money, but it doesn't specifically say crypto. In fact, it doesn't even mention crypto at all, but a lot of crypto people have jumped on the bandwagon of that saying, hey, this is going to be, pro crypto as well. They're going to invest in crypto, but there's nothing saying that. But, these things are obviously, I guess, positive for the market. So I don't know. I don't know what Trump's going to do next. So it's probably a case of, just taking a step back, staying in probably some more strong crypto plays at the moment and just waiting this out, because I think your riskier assets are still going to struggle in a volatile Trump market.
Yeah, well said. I think anyone out there saying like a definitive answer of what will happen, I think is a bit of a red flag, to be honest. And I think acknowledging that we're in uncertain territory is the best approach. And yeah, as Simon said, if you were really rattled by how much your, well, sort of on paper, sort of net worth maybe deteriorated over the weekend, maybe that was a sign, you just don't want to be in such risky assets. So I know, speaking with a lot of people, they're sort of talking about consolidating their portfolio into, more major cryptocurrencies. But yeah, certainly uncertain times. But yeah, crypto has seen many situations like these over the years. And yeah, we'll see what happens on the end of it. Sticking with Trump, as in 2025, I assume we'll be doing a lot of always never a dull day or week in terms of news coming out of the Trump administration. We got some news overnight about this sovereign wealth fund. So yeah, Simon, as you said, crypto is sort of jumping on and sort of claiming it as a sign that potentially the US is going to invest in crypto. But hey, call it clutching at straws, I think is a safe assumption there.
Absolutely. Yeah, there was absolutely no mention of crypto whatsoever in that. There was no mention of what they're investing at all. It was an announcement to look at creating something. So Trump's getting good at that. He's good at the marketing.
Delegating.
Yeah, he's good at, showmanship, isn't he? Like he's the celebrity showman out there. So he's talking the talk, but we'll have to wait and see what this plan comes back with, whether it's actually something that they want to go ahead with and whether they actually want to buy crypto with it. I very much doubt it's going to be straight off the bat that they're going to say, hey, we should invest in crypto in this thing. So this is a bit of a nothing burger, I think, for crypto in general.
Yeah, certainly agree. At least in the short term, a lot more higher priorities for Trump than something like crypto. Even though it is a focus of his team, it's one of many focuses. But I think more optimistically to look forward to, we'll get into a big press conference that's happening this week. But before then, we'll get into the big altcoin news. Of course, we've had all the chaos of the past week or the past weekend. But before then, we actually had a lot of altcoin news as always. Typically January, a very quiet month for altcoins, but now everyone's sort of back at work and things are flowing again. Expect to see a lot more news in that regard. So ETH, it's been beat up a lot, as we've been talking about over the past year or so. And we've also seen more news come out in terms of their next major upgrade. So that's more looking likely to be dropping on Ethereum mainnet in the next couple of months. I think they're still doing quite a bit of testing. So we've talked a bit about Ethereum's next, major upgrade being Pectra. Obviously, from an investor standpoint, they won't really care about, how that affects ETH's price outlook. But we need Ethereum to continue to be improving for investors to ultimately get any returns. But I think this is more of a much longer term discussion rather than this bull market in particular. I think what is more very short term for ETH's outlook as an investment is what's happening with World Liberty Financial. So that's a project that is sort of associated with the Trump family. They continue to acquire millions of dollars worth of ETH, as well as some other cryptocurrencies, but mostly they are holding ETH and continue to accumulate their position there. And they are also staking some ETH as well. So the reasons for that aren't yet quite clear, but it's at least something to get people excited about a short-term narrative for Ethereum. But hey, that's one of not that many at all when you compare it to some other projects out there. So in terms of Ethereum, got a lot to look forward to in terms of fundamentals, but as an actual investment outlook, I don't think we really have that much of a difference in our opinion than what we had, say, a month or two ago.
Yeah, it's nice to see Ethereum still building because I guess they have to, but it feels now that they're coming from second place now, whereas before they used to be leading the charge. I feel that they are now having to catch up to others, I reckon.
Yeah, and of course the project that we're talking about here, in many cases, is Solana, a very close competitor with Ethereum, catching it. It seems week by week, and we have Radium, a big project on Solana there. What's going on with them, Simon?
Yeah, so Radium is a DEX, very similar to Uniswap, except obviously on Solana. And this is fairly big news in the fact that Radium has had greater volume in January compared to Uniswap. I mean, Uniswap's absolutely one of the blue chips of the crypto space. And so having a competitor on Solana overtake it as far as volume is concerned is, a fairly significant milestone, I think. And it's definitely a sign, I guess, of the changing of the guard of how Solana is now, I guess, potentially, probably, eye of the beholder, the leading layer one at the moment. And this is mainly driven by memes, AI projects, especially in the last couple of months. And without a doubt, January beat because of the Trump meme coin. So without that, I don't think it would have actually done that. Flippening, we can call it a flippening, I suppose. It's a word in crypto that people like to use. It was the Trump coin that made Radium flip it in volume.
True.
So will that then lead on to sustained higher volumes? I don't know. It may be just, a one-off, but looking at the chart there, you can see it has been eating away at it for a while and has been making progress. And that's Solana making progress as well. It's a sign of Solana eating away at ETH dominance. And Radium, I guess, as a token itself is a bit different to Uniswap in the fact that they are buying back tokens with fees made from Radium. So that's, putting buy pressure and upward pressure on the price. And just from a price discrepancy between the two, because they are kind of effectively the same kind of projects, just on different blockchains. Uniswap has a $6 billion market cap, whereas Radium is just under $2 billion market cap. So that's a bit of a price discrepancy there. I think anyone could see and identify that. Does that mean that Radium goes up or that Uniswap should go down? I'm not 100% sure. I would suspect that in the short term, the market would probably want to reprice Radium up rather than Uniswap down just yet. But we'll have to wait and see. Can they sustain that volume post the Trump coin?
Yeah, and speaking of Uniswap, they actually had a major update that we've been talking about, I think, for about 18 months now. It's finally here, Uniswap V4, as we've talked about many times in the past, that the big thing you need to know about Uniswap V4, yes, there's a number of sort of new features and whatnot, but the main thing you will be hearing a lot about this year is hooks. So essentially, think of them as just like, apps that people can create on top of Uniswap that are able to sort of tap into the protocol. And then you'll have certain app developers, coming up with monetization, I suppose, models of, being able to leverage Uniswap, but then take a bit of a clip on this side. So this, I think, will actually be a really interesting way that a lot of projects will sort of help, I guess, generate income or a way for projects to generate revenue. And I think it may also have this effect of making a lot of different projects in the space, redundant in many respects, because now Uniswap has this layer where I guess applications can more or less just build on top of Uniswap, which is, as Simon just said, a mammoth in the space, and just sort of survive, I guess, still place your chips on Uniswap's future in a way, but still ultimately be at the source of where all the action is. So be on the lookout for the hooks. There are already over 150 sort of hooks in I guess, that are live on various chains. I think people are also, comparing them to things like plugins. So, we have our browser, like our Chrome browser, for example, but then you can have, certain plugins that sort of help you get more features or more functionality out of your browser. So in many respects, you can have hooks being the analogy of like a Google sort of plugin. But then the browser in this analogy would be Uniswap. So yeah, really keen to see this. I haven't actually played around with it just yet. We have Uniswap V4 already live on about 7, 8, or 9 sort of different blockchains from the get-go. So yeah, it's been coming for quite a while, as is typical in a bull market or bear market for that matter. Price did not react to the announcement that it was live. But I think fundamentally this should I would love to see Uniswap's, I guess, adoption metrics really, I guess, thrive and benefit based off of V4's release. So I think we'll be able to tell whether V4 has been successful. I would say in a couple of months, it would be fair to draw some conclusions on how successful V4 has been. Phantom and Sui, this was our big news, Simon.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Phantom wallet is probably one of the most downloaded Web3 wallets now. It started on Solana. It's got on Ethereum now. It's on Bitcoin, and now it's supporting SUI. So this is obviously hugely bullish for SUI. It's the only next gen layer one that really is on Phantom, I should say. So it's obviously opening up a larger audience to being able to use the SUI blockchain, which I think is fairly significant because I guess the only real competitor that I kind of think as far as a massive Web3 wallet is MetaMask. And MetaMask is only Ethereum based, which I think has been probably a letdown on them. I mean, everybody integrated MetaMask, everybody was using MetaMask, and they didn't really pivot into Solana, which I think was a big mistake by them to a degree. And now Phantom, to a degree, is eating away at their market share. So I kind of feel that this is Phantom following what users want and probably just following what the market is telling them, that, you know, SUI is clearly one of the leading new L1s out there, and integrating with it is obviously a big part of Phantom, making sure they remain dominant and hold on to that market share. And I mean, effectively, like MetaMask is for Ethereum apps, everybody integrates MetaMask into Ethereum apps. On Solana, everybody integrates Phantom Wallet into their apps. And so this very well going forward could mean that anybody developing anything on SUI is also going to integrate it with Phantom, because that's where the users are. If you want an app to be successful, you need to make it easy for users to get there. So this is pretty big for SUI, and I think it's really awesome to see Phantom continuing to deliver what their users want.
Yeah, well said. There's integrations, you know, every week in this space, and, you know, normally we wouldn't highlight them, but this is absolutely an integration that I think we'll look back on as a moment where SUI's adoption even went to the next level. If things go really well, which we're expecting SUI to have another very strong year in 2025. A similar sort of, you know, project in a sense, Jupiter, I suppose they do have their wallet that they are working on as well, particularly their mobile sort of integrated app. This is, I think, maybe a glimpse of the future, or maybe not. I think a lot of people would argue the world is going mobile first, so why not? So why shouldn't crypto? And Jupiter here, I noticed, had a new sort of camera enabled, I guess, QR code feature where you can actually scan, you know, different images or screenshots, and the Jupiter mobile app will detect the actual contract address, and it will automatically, I suppose, copy it and paste it and load it up into like a swap feature on your phone. So you don't have to do all the searching for different contract addresses. So this was like quite cool. I'm actually keen to check it out, and this could be a sign of the future, or maybe not. We'll see.
Yeah, it's definitely where everyone's going. I mean, maybe I'm just a dinosaur and too old, but I just don't find that investing on my mobile is a good idea, but that's where people want to be. So you've got to build to the users again here. So if it's allowing more people to get into crypto easier where they want to be interacting with it, sure, it's a great thing.
Yeah. I don't think it was a great choice to have the Melania token in the promo, but well, that's aged well, hasn't it? But no, that's a great sign there from Jupiter, and keen to see, you know, how that adoption goes. As we did tease earlier, there's a really significant press conference that news of this just came in before we started recording, but on Thursday US time, I think it's in the afternoon US time, there will be a press conference by key leaders in the US administration. Trump himself will not be there, but it will be David Sachs, who's leading and overseeing, I guess, how the White House and their policies to do with AI and crypto. And you've also got several other sort of key policymakers in the US having a conference discussing crypto in the US and what the administration and Congress hopefully are planning to do in terms of helping America be a leader in the crypto space. So that will absolutely be a price sensitive press conference, in my opinion. If it disappoints, might get a bit of a sell-off. If there's news out of what their plans are, very well might be a bigger surge in price. And as Simon alluded to earlier, it could just be for Bitcoin, or it could be for, you know, the broader cryptocurrency sort of asset class. So we're really in this interesting moment at this stage where Trump coming into office, where, you know, Bitcoin is breaking away and as well and truly broken away from the rest of the cryptocurrency market. So this may be a continuation of that after Thursday, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I hope it's not more governments announcing announcements. That's what I'm somewhat afraid of, and somewhat getting apathetic towards the US government at the moment.
Yeah, that's it. I think normally that would definitely be the case for something like this. I think we just haven't heard much from particularly David Sachs, I suppose, and I guess the fact they're doing it together and actually, giving some detail about what they plan, what they're wanting to do in terms of crypto adoption in the US, which sure they did on the campaign trail, but now this is a lot more legitimate. We'll see what comes of it, but yeah, entirely possible it's just an announcement of an announcement. We'll see. Last thing here as well, just most important thing I'm watching as just for investment purposes really is just any more tariff news. I think it's you don't need to overcomplicate it. I think it's as simple as if there's really positive tariff news, such as more delays of negotiations, or even if there's news about Trump not putting tariffs on the EU, any positive headlines like that I'm hoping for, but I'm also open to the fact that there could be negative news, such as the EU copying some tariffs, and maybe even Japan, South Korea. So Trump's hinted at a lot. We'll see what happens. So price could go wildly up or down in the next week, or hey, we could just be here talking at the same prices.
Yeah, who knows? Let's wait and see.
But that's it for what was a hectic week in the markets here. So we'll come back to you next week, and who knows what will happen. But if you are looking for more insights or a wrap up of what has happened with all the tariffs and everything else that we've talked about, definitely subscribe to our newsletter that is delivered straight to your inbox, free every Friday. So you can subscribe to that at collectiveshift.io/newsletter. That's collectiveshift.io/newsletter.